Support for this episode of the PowerCast comes from Mark Bell's Slingshot. Check out the all-new website at howmuchyabench.net. Bench heavy with no pain with Mark Bell's Slingshot. ThePowerMagazine.com. Powerlifting apparel for people who lift heavy-ass weight from 8manstrong.com and bodybuilding.com. Bodybuilding.com is the world's #1 fitness website and supplement store. Bodybuilding.com also has free fitness plans for every fitness level. Visit bodybuilding.com today to become your best self. Our guests for episode 150 of the PowerCast are Brad and Stephanie Rowe. Brad is an IFBB Pro bodybuilder, and Stephanie is a figure competitor working on landing her pro card. We talked about their approach to training, dieting, and competing, how they support each other as a couple in a hyper-competitive world, and what led them to step on stage in the first place. Do us a favor and hit the like button and share this episode, and enjoy number 150.
Recorded live at Super Training Gym in West Sacramento, California, this is Mark Bell's PowerCast. Alongside Silent Mike and Jim McD, here's your host, Mark Bell.
I sold out.
What the hell is going on in here? Anything, Mike? You got anything?
Absolutely nothing. Just sipping Monster Rehab.
Let's talk about this kid that got beat up by a gorilla.
I feel like it's a little old news, but yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We can talk about it.
New news to him.
Yeah, they just told me yesterday. I didn't know
really?
what
You
the fuck's
didn't
going on. No, I don't know nothing.
yeah, I knew.
All I do is lift. Lift
All I
and
do
fuck
is-
and eat
all
and
I do is
sleep.
win.
That's pretty much it.
Winning.
Fart, poop, a little bit of that in there. And that's
Mark called me and he said, "Oh, I'm shitting." Normally that's a joke. Normally that comes towards me in a text message. Hey, I'm pooping, and then we talk. But then I heard a really echo in a fan. I was like, "You're really shitting right now."
And some flushing
And we're just
going
going to talk about Slingshot. Yeah, all right.
talking
shit.
business.
I do my best thinking on the shitter.
Yeah, but that's why text I think is more proper.
No,
FaceTime.
it's you don't want to get your hands dirty.
That's true. There's fecal matter all over all of our phones and money.
No. It's a
and
petri dish
Yeah.
of cum and poop, basically.
It's bad. Yeah, it's bad.
Hey, check out my pictures. No,
I'm good, I'm
thanks.
good.
Slide
No.
for me.
Yeah, no thanks.
I don't like pink eye.
It's disgusting.
Got big guy from iPhone.
Anyway, yeah, that little kid, like he fucking fell into the thing, or he drifted off into the cage with the gorilla or something like that, silverback gorilla.
Well, he physically had to crawl under like gates and
Go
Yeah.
through a moat and then jumped over the cliff
It's
into the.
insane.
Doesn't that happen
casing.
at the end of Anchorman?
Yeah,
Like, how long was this
Grizzlies?
kid like unattended for?
they said it was 4 minutes or something like that.
Oh, okay.
It was not very long.
Yeah,
He's a fast little kid.
I had that kid. My younger son was like that. He
Yeah.
would just fucking disappear.
little flash.
Yeah. It was frightening. So
Good thing you didn't have a cell phone back then.
No. Yeah.
There's so many stories
You'd
like
be
that,
fucking
though.
around
like
your cell phone, the kid would be, who knows where, up in a tree, right?
having monkeys as pets and stuff, and then getting your face ripped off. It happens everywhere.
My son climbed a tree in the backyard when he was 2. My older son came out and said, Sam's up in the tree. And literally he was like up in the tree. He was way up in the tree. My wife came out just like, what do you do? You know, what do you do? It's like, oh, my kid can climb a tree. Shit, my kid is way up in the fucking tree.
Yeah.
You
that's
shoot
why I'm
him down with a
terrified.
beanbag.
If we have, when we have kids, if we have boys, we're gonna be screwed.
Yeah.
Like little girls don't
Yeah.
do stupid shit like that.
Yeah.
It's
They
the
just-
little boys that do the dumb. Let's ride our bikes off of the roof.
Yeah.
Courageous,
Girls don't do things
crazy,
like that.
weird stuff.
Yeah. So
Where there's a lot of pain that could be involved in it, right? You can fuck yourself
ER
up pretty bad.
emergency room visit.
I was lucky. I was way too much of a sissy to do any of that.
Yeah. Well, some things never change.
Yeah, I'm a sissy. Yeah, I'll 100% admit it. But I've never broken a bone.
Yeah.
Never fucking
Hey, knock
bashed
on
my
wood,
face
buddy.
for no reason.
No, I definitely wasn't that kid either. I
Yeah.
wouldn't like jump into like water for no reason or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, people worry about the kids falling into a pool. I definitely wasn't. I was always cautious. I'm like, I don't even know how to swim. Why the fuck am I going to go in the water? But yeah, some kids do all kinds of crazy shit. You don't know what they're going to do.
Fuck that noise.
Bastards. So we got some bodybuilders in town here today.
Yep.
We got the Rowe family. Brad
Thanks for
Rowe
having
and
us.
Stephanie Rowe. Awesome to have you guys up from Los Angeles, California.
Thanks for having us out here.
We did some working out yesterday. Stephanie did some of her bodybuilding stuff because you got a show coming up, right?
Yep, 2.5 weeks, junior
Oh my
nationals.
God.
I don't know. It's so sad.
Give us a little bit of the rundown on kind of like where your diet starts and what kind of the progression, going towards the contest itself.
So I started working with Matt Jensen about 10 weeks ago. And I think our calorie count started at around 2,200. I was getting carbs at that point. He wanted to see what my body was doing, how it was reacting to certain carbs and fats, and placing them around my workouts. And obviously, as the closer we got to the show, we started retracting some of the calories, started upping the cardio. So he's starting to really learn my body, which is awesome. So at this point, I'm kind of on.
How do you feel about that, Brad?
I mean,
I don't get to learn her body. So might as well.
all the energy goes to the bodybuilding. There's no learning anything right now.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, right now I'm basically on like 1,100 calories.
Oh.
How many weeks out?
I'm 2.5 weeks out.
Yeah.
So I am caffeined the fuck up. So that's literally like I have to. He knows that. He knows I'm tired. And so I get my fasted cardio in the morning, 45 minutes. I get about 2 to 3 meals in. I train midday. I get 2 more meals in. I go back for another 45 minutes of cardio at night. So now we're integrating a little more sprinting work. My legs are the most stubborn part of my body. Everything else always looks like I'm 2 weeks out.
Right.
And then down here, it's like estrogen central. So I can't get those deep cuts in my legs that a lot of the girls have.
Neither can Mark. He has
Oh, you don't have quads either.
Yeah, he has no
That
quads.
would be me.
Yeah, he has no quads.
I just don't have quad definition. I have quads. Let's get that.
Okay.
So
yeah, Mark has neither.
Internet says no quads.
So now I'm basically gonna be sprinting. I should just sprint to fucking Chicago. That's what I should do, because that's what it feels
Sprint
like.
your big fat ass to Chicago.
Yeah, just take your ass there. So yeah, 2.5 weeks out from that show.
So no matter how you do it, though, there's a bunch of different ways to end up, on stage, right? There's
Right.
a bunch of different techniques. Some people like lower carbs, some people like higher carbs.
Everyone's body is different. Like
Right.
the minute I take carbs in, for the most part, my body loves to hold on to that water weight.
Right.
It's really hard for me to lose weight on carbs. And even though with Matt, the actual weight loss was about 9 pounds, the body composition was completely different. Like I'll post the progress pictures on Instagram, and it's just a completely different physique, and it's not a lot of weight. So, but it's very hard for me to dial it in those last couple of weeks
Right.
with carbs.
What do you actually compete in, and then kind of what's the criteria? Because there's like a million freaking categories now. And then, what's that? We'll start there.
So I'm still an amateur. I'm NPC, and I'm a figure competitor. So it starts bikini, which are the smaller, slender girls. Then you have fitness, are the girls. Those girls, hands down, are like the athletes.
Best athletes.
Yeah, they have the routines on stage. When you're that, dehydrated and at that point malnourished, and you still are doing flips and shit on stage. I mean,
That one seems to
candid-
has lost its popularity from
which is
like a
crazy.
decade ago. It was kind of a thing, right? It was a
Right.
big
Well, I
deal
think
for
a
while.
lot of the girls who are in the fitness world in that category were gymnasts when they were younger.
Right.
And so I don't think a lot of young kids are getting into gymnastics now. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
Right.
Bikini just seems, I don't want to talk shit, but it seems like kind of easy to get into. Like they don't have to be that cut. They don't need that much muscle. I mean, not to be good. Obviously, the top work really hard, but you know what I mean for price of entry. So then all these, that's what I see from the outside world.
That's as like fat as you can be as bikini, right?
Yeah, right? Like you're not that cut. You don't necessarily
It's the
need,
lowest
like,
level of entry, I guess.
You've probably been lifting weights for years. You have a lot of muscle on you. Like they don't really need that, so they just kind of like, oh yeah, I want to be like cute on stage, so they go.
Right, and that's also a completely different body type. When I got into the fitness industry, my my go-to girl was Amanda Latona. I was like, I want to be a bikini competitor. I want to look like this girl. And then when I moved to Venice, and one of the very first days that I was there, I ran into Charles Glass. I had no idea who he was, and he's like, "Oh, are you thinking about stepping on stage?" I'm like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Stepping
And
on
I'm
stage
like,
where?
"What are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, you just have a really great physique." I was like, "Oh, I've thought about bikini." He goes, "No, you're not made for bikini." And then he was like, your clavicle's really long, so you have your shoulders will, when you build muscle, you'll have wide shoulders. Your waist is tiny. You're made for figure. So that in figure, they look for good round muscle bellies, that V taper. So they want the smaller waist, the wider shoulders, and they do want definition on your legs, but they don't want it as far as women's physique. So it goes bikini, fitness, figure, physique, and bodybuilding, which they're trying to kind of push those girls out, which is really a shame. But there's still a couple of bodybuilder shows for women.
What do you mean by push them out? Just by the way they judge them? Or something
Well, it's
like
not
that?
at Olympia anymore, right?
Right, they took it
This
out of
is
the
first year?
Olympia.
Oh, okay.
So they're doing away with some of the shows where they
pro
used
shows.
to have.
What do you think about that, Brad? You know, being a longtime fan of bodybuilding.
You know, there's a lot of girls that have put decades of work in, and
Right.
they don't have an outlet to compete in it anymore. You know,
Right.
and I understand that they put women's physique to kind of replace what bodybuilding
Gotcha.
is, because women's physique is kind of what bodybuilding was in the late 80s and early 90s. And
Corey
the girls
Everson was.
the girls got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it really just lost its mainstream appeal. You know,
Right.
people show up and they look at these girls and they just think, oh my god,
Some of the
that's-
girls look like Ronnie Coleman in a wig.
Right. You know,
Starts getting a little ridiculous.
It's too much. You know, so they started women's physique to kind of take over that place. But
Don't,
you know,
don't think that Ronnie Coleman in a wig's not hot.
I'm getting turned on over here just at the thought.
but you know, the big issue is with judging is that, you know, when you start judging physiques that are bigger, girls start to get bigger. So you
Right.
started seeing a trend where women's physique girls were bigger and harder, and they started looking like bodybuilders. But then you have the bodybuilders that are trying to drop down because they need a place to compete. So these girls are big, they're stepping on stage, and judges are rewarding them. So they're trending back towards the bigger physique. So they said this year they were going to tone things down by another 15 to 20% to make it smaller. But so far the judging's kind of been all over the place.
The sport kind of seems to do that. Like, there's huge waves, obviously, from Arnold to Ronnie to whatever, but
Yeah.
then now there's like classic
Physique.
Classic
classic
physique, yep.
whatever.
Yeah.
Is that something like in your world, like in your range? You think or
No,
no?
I don't have the build. I'm the complete opposite her. I have really narrow clavicles and really wide hips.
Yeah.
So I'm not shapely
So
whatsoever.
you're made to powerlift.
I should be a
Bikini.
powerlifter.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
much
made
better
to power
powerlifter.
lift.
We talked
Bodybuilder.
about that yesterday. I'm
Men's
like,
bikini.
What
man,
was the name of that
Yeah.
porn? Big Booty what?
Momo booty.
Momo Booty.
You know,
We'll get to that later.
I like the idea of classic physique.
Yeah.
It gives guys that are really small boned and smaller structure to compete.
Small quads or
Small.
Oh.
You actually need quads.
Oh, sorry,
You
small.
gotta your
your legs have to be
There's
shown.
nowhere for me to go.
You know,
I can't do
I would
bikini.
like
I can't do
to
figure. I can't do bodybuilding.
what about fitness?
I don't think so.
Can you do a cartwheel?
handstand.
We'll try that later, guys.
I could try.
Yeah. So I would like to see men's physique, in a sense, go away and just do, because I'm a bodybuilding purist.
Yeah.
You know, the IFBB is the International Federation of Bodybuilding. You know, not to discredit.
It's not of board shorts.
Not to discredit bikini or men's physique. I
think men's physique should just disappear, or do you think it should go away from what you're talking
you know
about,
what?
just bodybuilding
make
shows?
it a different federation.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Gotcha.
know,
That seems to make sense.
You know,
If it's
and I'm
popular
gonna
and it
catch a
makes
lot of-
money, why not have it be its own thing?
But you know, it's popular because it's an easy way for people to get into it. It's
Right.
it's a
Yeah,
way
yeah.
to be competitive.
That's
and
how I
and
see
I
it.
understand that. It's a way to
Men's
get
bikini.
introduced into the industry.
Right.
But you have people that bikini and men's physique that have trained for 1 year and turned pro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How the fuck do you become a professional athlete
Right.
with that little time put in? I'm sorry. Like, the idea of being a professional is you're
Yeah.
elite. It
There's
takes
just
years
sometimes
and
is,
years and years of work to get
There's
into.
just sometimes no possible way to make things that are supposed to be hard to make them easy.
Right,
and that's
right.
what
And then
people
that's what
always
they're-
try
and
to
that's what
do.
they're doing, you know,
They
and
try
then-
to like take down the level of entry, take down that barrier for
Right.
people to get into the sport in the first place. And it's like, well, this sport's just fucking hard. Sorry.
Right. Sorry, yeah.
Or the fact, you know, there's 5, 6, well, at least for bikini and men's physique, there's 5 or 6 shows a year where you could turn pro. Okay, I'm trying to get my pro card, right? So I don't want it to be more difficult, but
Yeah.
if you need to up the ante, then don't give first and second place pro cards.
Yeah, just number
Watch
one.
me get second place in 2 weeks and be
Hey,
like, fuck yeah, I got my pro card. So we can play this back later, but you know, at least make it the overall winner.
Right.
All right. So
Yeah.
you're instead of giving, you know, not giving, but instead of awarding, you know, 37 pro cards at one show, really you're only doing 7,
Yeah.
4,
Yeah.
5.
And that's what they did this originally, because when they started the divisions, they needed pros to compete. So it was, okay, we'll give top 2 at each one of these shows, 7 shows a year, to try to fill up the professional field so that people show up to these shows. And they've done that, because
Right.
they have a pro show almost every other weekend, whether it be bikini and men's physique, and you have 30, 40 competitors every one of the shows. So the people are there, the people are competing. So
Yeah.
now let's back off the amount of pro cards given out and make it more complicated. You know, and as she said, I'm one of those people. I turned pro at second place at nationals, and I was going to turn it down, you know, because I didn't think that I was worthy enough to be a pro. And everyone in my corner said, don't be stupid. You never know when this opportunity is going to come out again. You know, you could get hurt next year and never be able to compete.
Yeah.
So I took advantage of that. But every day I step into the gym, it's to prove to myself and to prove to everybody else that I deserve to be a pro. And almost everybody that beat me through the national level when I was coming up, I've turned around and beaten as a pro.
Oh, awesome.
So, you know, that's kind of that satisfaction for me is like, you know what, I deserve to be here. You know, even though the way I got in was wrong, I've beaten people that beat me when I was an amateur. You
competed at the Mr. Olympia last year. Was that your first year?
Yep, my first year.
What was that like?
What a crazy experience. For the journey itself.
How long have you liked bodybuilding?
Honestly, I only, I think I watched Bigger, Stronger, Faster.
Oh, there you go.
I watched Pumping Iron. And,
Bigger, Stronger, Faster is about 8 years old at this point.
Right, and no, it's almost 10 years.
Yeah,
I gotta say.
Something like that.
So I was a
2008.
junior in college, and I saw Pumping Iron, and, you know, I'd kind of known of Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler, but it wasn't a passion of mine.
You were already training and stuff at that point?
Yeah, I was a football player. You know, I played football in
yeah.
college, so, you know, I was a gym rat regardless. I started training when I was like 14, 15. And then right around 2010, I got recruited to do fitness modeling.
What were you thinking when you saw Bigger, Stronger, Faster? Because you played college football at Marist College, which is in Poughkeepsie.
Yeah.
So you're watching the film, and then were you just like, what the fuck? Some of this is in Poughkeepsie.
Yeah. It was kind of funny. I'm like, this guy lives around here. Like, that's kind of awesome. Actually, I think where I lived my junior and senior years were kind of where your parents lived as well. So that kind of hit close to home. You know, it was unique, but in my school, I can honestly say no one on our football team touched any illegals. Maybe that's why we sucked. But, you know, so, you know, and that's kind of what got me sparked into the fitness. And then I took a lapse away. I was just a gym rat, and I went to grad school and was doing construction. And I dressed up as the Ultimate Warrior one year for Halloween. And it was my MySpace profile pic.
Yeah, you're in trunks. That's close enough to be on a bodybuilding stage.
So,
by the way, the gym that turned into a fucking Planet Fitness used to be the best gym in the goddamn
world.
world.
Gym up there,
the World Gym.
Yeah,
it turned
into
a
fucking
Lunk Alarm Planet Fitness.
Yeah, my junior
I used to
year
train
when
there
I switched
every
over.
fucking day. I love that place.
Yeah.
Fuck.
You should buy it out.
God damn, I should do something with it.
Go back and revert. Yeah.
But
So
not
Travesty. Goddamn
Crazy.
Bob or whoever the fuck owned it. Bob, if you're listening,
You sell out.
Bullshit move.
You sell out.
Fucking Lunk Alarm bastard.
So yeah, I mean that was you know, I got recruited to do fitness modeling by an agent, and I was like, you know, if you book me, shit, I'll do it. Next thing I know, I booked a GNC ad campaign, did Muscle and Fitness, and I went to New
Mike's
York.
been waiting for a long time for a
Yeah,
modeling
waiting for
agency
it.
to hit him up.
I update my
hit you up.
MySpace account every day. It's still not working.
So you know, he told me, hey, you should compete, you get more exposure, and I started getting ready for my first show, and I actually got my first sponsorship before I stepped on stage.
Oh, cool.
I was when I was at my agent's house and I took a big shit. It's always great. And I came out and I hit a vacuum pose, and he was like, fuck, not many people can do that anymore. He's like, let me take a picture. I know this company that's trying to do this old school 70s throwback thing. So he sent my picture in the University of Nutrition Animal Pack, and
A bunch of weird set of circumstances.
Yeah,
Posing in
a
front of
shit.
men.
I'm taking
a
notes.
modeling
Yeah, I'm
agency.
taking notes over here how to
taking
make
a
it.
shit got me a contract.
That's right.
So, you know, all of a sudden a couple weeks later, I get signed by Universal and competed. After the first time I stepped on stage, I just got the bug. And later that year, Ed Connors, you know, who's helped out John Cena and all these other guys, kind of got a hold of me and flew me out to California to do a show out in Cali. I went out there, won the overall, and convinced me to move.
Did
So I
Ed
said-
Connors used to own Gold's Gym or something like that? Or
he was
just
involved-
been heavily involved with the gym for a long time?
He was part owner, and he was involved in the franchising.
Oh, right,
The actual
right, okay,
franchising of
okay.
the gym. So, you know, that's how I got my move to California and got bit by the bodybuilding bug. And so I'm going on year 7 now as a bodybuilder.
So you get to Mr. Olympia, and I mean, there's all these, you know, famous bodybuilders that you've been seeing for the last several years. Like, what the hell is that like? You're trying to stand next to them.
You know,
you just keeping like all your clothes on the whole time, or what?
Pretty much. It was, you know, it was definitely a humbling experience. You know, I've been fortunate enough since I got to Golds. I've been surrounded by a great group of people. Like when I first got there, Chris Cormier, who's a legend in the industry, saw me the first day I walked in and said, let's go. You know, took me under his wing. He trained me for a couple of years. I left Chris, went on to Charles Glass. Sean Roden and I have been training partners for 3+ years and good
Bouncing
friends.
around from one giant black dude to another.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Bounce around, pass around, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, you know, I've been blessed to be around some of the best in the sport from the get-go. But at the Olympia, man, it was just to know that I was stepping on stage with these people was crazy. So I get out, we're getting ready to do our 60-second routine, and Rolly Winkler goes first. Rolly's a huge fan favorite, just the beast.
Massive.
So,
What is he, like 280, 270?
Got to be just
on
an absolute
stage, right?
monster. So he goes out, and the crowd's going nuts and screaming. He goes off. They call my name. Fucking dead silent.
It's just me. It's just the wife.
and her, and then
Go get him, babe.
and I could have sworn I heard booze, and I was just like, I couldn't even.
It was
move
also
my,
me.
I couldn't even move my feet. I'm like,
You're fat. Get off the stage.
yeah. Well, that's the only thing. I wasn't fat. At least I was tiny. At least come in shredded.
Physiques tomorrow.
You don't have any quads.
I get that all the time. They're like, "Are you a physique competitor, or are you a 212?" I'm like,
Well, no, that's what it looked like when he competed in Russia.
Oh, God,
we were
yeah.
talking about this yesterday. You know, the guys over there are no
Europeans
joke. So we're seeing these massive guys go on stage, and then he comes out, and I'm like, oh my god, babe, he's getting out muscled by like 40 fucking
50
pounds.
pounds, yeah, by these enormous.
Are those guys pros as well?
Yeah, yeah. So I did my pro debut in 14, Phoenix. I almost backed out. You know, like I said, Sean Rhodes, my training partner, we worked with Chris Aceto together, and we go up in the posing room every day to take pictures to send to Chris, progress pics. And I'm with the
Your sport's so weird.
So heterosexual.
Here we are.
Keep going.
At 4 a.m. in our thongs, taking pictures of each other to send to our coach. And I'm with the number 3 bodybuilder in the world who, by far everybody will say he has the best structure and the best shape out there. And I'm this blocky little white boy, and I'm like, I'm going to get my fucking ass kicked. So like 2 weeks out, I'm like, I'm not going to compete. I can't do this. I'm like, I'm going to get fucking smoked. I need to take a whole year on and add size. And I was like, no, you'll do okay. You'll do okay. So Sean actually convinced me to go to Russia the following week after Phoenix and proposed to pay for my flights. And I'm like, shit. I'm like, he's actually putting money on the table to say, hey, I believe in you. So fuck it. So I did Phoenix, and I ended up getting 3rd in my pro debut to a couple big name bodybuilders. It wasn't a huge show, but it was good enough. So that kind of got momentum going. We went to Russia, and I brought an even better package than the week before. But I just got out muscled. They were looking for
Bring in your best package.
The best package was there, stuffed and ready to go. But I got my ass.
How many socks are we talking? Tube socks, right?
Oh yeah. The big soccer ones.
Okay, good.
I needed those. So I got my ass kicked out there, and that was kind of frustrating. But I turned around a couple weeks later, and I beat a bunch of those guys back in the States. And then it was just okay. So I got 2nd at the Ferrigno, and it was like, all right, we got to get some points. We're going to qualify for the Olympia. And I did 5 more shows that next year. Dang. So from my pro debut.
What's normal?
People do like 2 shows, 3 shows maybe. I did 8 shows in a calendar year, my rookie year, to go to the Olympia.
That's rough.
And this is going into year 2 right now, so I'm like a little burnt out. But what an awesome experience to get up there. And no one thought I should have made the Olympia. No one thought I should have been pro. I couldn't tell you how many trolls gave me shit. Oh, this guy's making it to the fucking Olympia. He sucks. He didn't win a show. It's like, guess what? I showed up and I competed.
Right.
I was there. I did 8 fucking shows. I beat my body to the ground.
Yeah.
Damn.
I worked my way into this,
So you played some football, and you did a bunch of other stuff before you got into bodybuilding.
Yeah.
What do you think about there's some of these guys now where it seems like, and girls getting these pro cards at seems like pretty young ages. I'm seeing 19, 20 years old. Seems like it's, the bodybuilding is like, I mean, everyone always wants to say that their sport is the hardest. Everybody always wants to try to credit their sport as being the toughest. But bodybuilding, I would put right up there with anything in terms of the amount of dedication that it takes on a 24/7 basis, both mentally and physically. I can't really think of anything else that has that kind of demand. And so at that young of age, is it like too serious to get into, like when you're super young?
Yeah,
I definitely think so. I mean, in my 20s, I was living in Vegas. I was going to UNLV. I was living life.
Right.
But then again, there wasn't, Instagram.
Yeah, do you think Instagram has to do with the influx of like bikini and physique?
I
Hands
think
down.
so.
Like yeah, because what else? I
popularity
mean,
thing.
there's nowhere else. Magazines are.
Well, it might help somebody's campaign to get a pro card, right? Like their popularity. Like it's got to play into it a little bit, right?
Well, I think it's also playing into a lot of, especially with young girls, their insecurities.
Yeah.
They're seeing pictures of all these girls that are shredded, and they don't know what happens, what's going on behind the scenes of all these girls getting ready for shows, and they want to look like that. And there's 16-year-old girls that are going into supplement stores buying fat burners, and you're like, no, you're not doing it the right way.
Yeah.
Like, what's your diet like? These girls are just trying to make it into their cheerleading squad, or just trying to look. Last night over dinner, I was scrolling through Instagram because I wanted to show Mark a picture of this girl, and I was like, how old do you think she is? Oh, she's definitely in like her late 20s. No, this girl just turned 17 years old.
and competes.
And she's getting ready for a show.
Yeah.
And so there's the teen division, which I think is a little odd.
Yeah.
There's a teen division for bikini, which you have.
Who's running this shit?
You have like younger girls who are doing the bent over bikini poses, and you're like, oh,
that 14-year-old girl that won the Arnold.
14?
The Arnold, where was it? Brazil or something?
Oh
like that?
yeah, was it the wellness?
No. It was the bikini
I had
division.
no idea. I didn't follow it.
She won her pro card at 14 years old.
That's crazy.
At the Arnold Amateur. And
But yeah, I mean,
it's like, you're 14, get on stage, bending over backwards. Like,
at least
hello?
Brad and I, had
Like toddlers and tiaras.
basically it's the adult version
On
of it.
steroids.
Yeah. But it's, we at least had the chance to party, have a social life, not live our life, vicariously in Instagram and Snapchatting and all this that there is now. I feel like people aren't living in the moment anymore. You have to share immediately with your fans. So at least we were able to kind of have a social life, which I think a lot of these people are missing out on.
Yeah, let alone the mental aspect, like you said, like what they're getting attached to with their looks or their food.
Right.
Like, yeah, we have an obesity problem in our nation, but like we don't need like an anorexia problem. Like we need some moderation in our fucking country, right? So if you're going 14-year-olds starving themselves, not knowing what they're doing, like that might not be healthy either.
And, that's the biggest thing with this industry is, I'll be blunt with people. Most people that get into fitness is because of either insecurities or extreme egos. There's very few people that get into it because they just truly love training. Yeah. It's someone that's trying to make up for something in life, or someone that's just trying to show off and swing their dick around. So that's what a majority of the fitness industry is made up of. So you have so many people that are just so fragile in so many different ways, and it can really ruin you. And if you're that young, I think it can really destroy your lives. So as she said, I get these kids 17 years old reaching out to me, hey, I want to compete. I'm like, go to college, get a degree. Doesn't mean you can't be a gym rat and train and work on your physique, but just don't dedicate yourself that hard. Because like you said, it's, I think, mentally one of the toughest sports out there. The trainings, whatever hour, blah, blah, blah. But just staying on the diet 24/7, especially when you're getting so close to a show, your mind is just playing tricks on you. You're looking yourself in the mirror. 1 minute you look awesome, the next minute you look like shit, and you play so many. I'm one of the most headstrong people, and even my mind gets fucked left and right, on a daily basis.
You're stepping on stage for people to critique you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's as I can't imagine doing that at 17.
Yeah.
You're asking for it, but you're hoping not to have a worst case scenario where everyone thinks you look like shit.
Like I say,
well, and then there's going to be threads about you.
Right.
There's going to be reposts about you. I can't believe this girl thought she was okay to step on stage. What was this guy thinking? So social media can be the biggest bully. So
I have clients ask me all the time, like, how do you deal with all the criticism stuff mentally? I say, you have to be your worst critic. You have to say shit about yourself that other people can't even think about saying about you, because when they do say shit, you're like, that's all you got? I look like this and this, I said to people like, wow, you're a little hard on yourself. It's like, you have to be. If you're not, then you're going to get eaten alive.
And besides teenagers, whatever, but like as a pro or whatever, you just come prepared, right? Like if you come prepared enough, like I'm not the strongest guy in the world, but I think I lift like a pro. Like I lift well. So if I lift well, what shit are you going to talk? Right. Like I'm not going to break records, and I admit that, but I'm going to lift well. Or you come ready. Right. Yeah, maybe you'll get beat because that guy's fucking 300 pounds. You can't beat 300 pounds, but if you came ready, you can't talk shit.
Right. You beat yourself. Yeah. That's the biggest thing. Like I know that I'm never going to be Mr. Olympia. I'm never going to be top 10 Mr. Olympia. I might not ever win a pro show. But if I can continually be my best, then I'm winning. A lot of people don't like that attitude, but it's just the truth. I'm a realist with myself. I'm a realist with what my expectations are. Yeah. And I train my ass off. I diet as hard as I can, and as long as I can continue to make improvements, then in my mind I'm winning.
Bodybuilding's kind of cool because people will admit genetics. I feel like they'll say like, yeah, that guy just kind of has genetics. Like you just said, like maybe I won't be top 10 because I'm not 6'2" and I'm not this. Right. Like our sport's different. No one will ever admit that. They'll think they'll work their way to the top no matter what. You don't think I could deadlift 1,000? I'll deadlift. Like sometimes there's genetics in this sport too, bro. But for some reason in powerlifting, you can't say like, oh, that guy has better genetics. Either one, they'll think I'm a pussy, or two, they just think you can outwork everybody, and it's just not true.
People want to try to say that they have bad genetics too, and they have bad leverages for certain lifts all the time, and they just do it like whenever it's convenient for them. They, they won't say, they'll say, oh my deadlift form is fucked up because my arms are short, but they're not talking about how much they're able to bench press because their arms are short.
Right. Me and you are opposite.
There's an advantage and disadvantage to each thing, and the guy that has the all-time biggest bench is 6'5". So some of the bigger deadlifts of all time have been done by guys that are 6'5", 6'6", 6'8". So being tall is not really like a detriment.
And no one wants to just say I suck. Like me and you're opposite. Like you're built to deadlift, but you can bench. I'm built to bench and I can deadlift.
Right. Yeah, we're fucked.
Yeah, we're just and I got no quads either.
Well, yeah, everyone wants to kind of always point to the genetic thing, and in bodybuilding, it becomes there's so many other factors going into it. There's genetics, there's the drugs, there's the actual training itself, and you mentioned taking a year off. Have you seen people take a year off before and make drastic changes? Kind of taking. I guess you meant a year off from competing, right?
Right. A year off from competing,
so the dieting's not so up and down. It's just
a whole year
straightforward
of being in a caloric surplus to make improvements. Like my chest sucks, my back sucks, my arms could come up. And that's where I need to focus on. My legs are great. So taking a full year off would benefit me the next time I get on stage. It would make me a more complete package. But then there's also that marketing aspect of things. Like they said, like I plan on waiting until, the end of October, possibly taking a year off. And people in my corner are like, you made it to Olympia last year. So why are you going to walk away for a full year and be forgotten about? Right. At least right now you're somewhat fresh in their minds. Get on stage. If you only make, a 3 to 5 pound improvement, you're improving. Judges see small improvements. But there's only so many years that you can do that.
I guess you think about it this way too. Probably 5-6 years, you'll be able to kind of put the efforts in to compete at this level.
Yeah,
something like that. So so a year off is, that sounds like a short window, but as a pro anything, that's a pretty good amount of time.
Big window, yeah.
Well, I feel like bodybuilding
so even
windows.
If you took a year off, it'd be fine.
Bodybuilding windows getting longer and longer. I mean, look at Dexter Jackson; he's going nuts. Obviously, genetics play a role, but you know what I mean.
70 or whatever they took it. Robbie Robinson.
Robbie Robinson, ridiculous. He looked unreal. Guest posing, shredded out of his mind.
Devastating.
Oh my god,
he looked amazing.
Yeah.
He looked amazing.
But powerlifting's a little bit like that too. People are always like looking in the now. That's just human nature. But like you could powerlift for a very long time. If you stay like healthy and on top of it, you could probably hit your best numbers at 45.
You just can't be at the top at the beginning and stay at the top the whole time.
I think
because you will get injured.
It'll be hard.
Well, that's the whole concept too of starting too young in the sport.
Right, exactly. You only have so many years that are going to be peak years.
Kind of what you mentioned a little earlier was, you're kind of talking about like there's basically no chance that you'll ever win the whole thing.
Right.
Like from a realistic standpoint, with the genetics and the structure of bodybuilding, it's just probably just impossible, right? But I like what you said about trying to improve all the time on your own. My greatest powerlifting meet, the one I'm the most proud of, I finished like 8th. Yeah. I finished like dead in the middle of the weight class. It was that was just for that weight class. But what I liked about it is the weight class was fucking stacked. It was just everybody was a fucking savage, and I don't want to like kick everybody. Like I want to get my ass kicked.
Right.
I want to be motivated and inspired. And even in here, when we're training and we're working with other people and trying to bring them up and bring up their strength, like I told you, Nsima, the natty professor, he pulled 715. I've been working for years on trying to fucking deadlift 715. And I deadlifted 715 on this, the same day that he did. He did it with no belt, and he did it. I had straps. I'm trying to cheat whatever way I fucking possibly can. I'm kind of hanging.
Hook grip?
Yeah, you hook grip.
Yeah, hook grip. I'm hanging on for goddamn dear life. But the point is like, you want to be motivated and inspired. You don't want to just go in there and have things be easy. You shouldn't turn pro in a year so easily.
Right.
The stakes should be high.
Yeah,
Things
won't
should
be
be
satisfying.
hard. Things should be tough. We hear people all the time talking about breaking records. I'm going to break the American record. Like, no, you're not breaking shit. You're not breaking anything. It's a cheap record. It's low hanging fruit, and that's all you're breaking. Let's just be honest.
If you go in a room of anybody, and I've done this before when I coached high school basketball, and you start going around and say like, what event, physical, mental, are you most proud of? People start talking about maybe degrees, or maybe they'll talk about, I ran 5 miles when I couldn't run a mile. Right? It's the things that were so difficult. Like you just said, you worked your tail off to get to the Olympia. The result almost didn't matter, right? Like what mattered was that you worked your fucking tail off and you're there.
Yeah, those last 3 weeks of prep after I found I qualified were just like honestly the most enjoyable weeks. Cause it was like, shit, like I almost ruined a marriage. I blew off all friends and acquaintances and family and everything for this.
She's like,
run my body in the ground. Yeah,
Like, you're stuck with me, buddy.
I'm screwed.
You were trying to get rid of me. It wasn't happening.
But that was it. So whatever happened on stage at that point, I knew I wasn't gonna battle, but still I wanted to be my best possible there, and it was just the ultimate achievement of that. The fact
I don't think you can get rid of her after just some of the stories you told.
She's a keeper, buddy. She's a keeper.
So Brad has this like shaving ritual that he has to go through. He takes over the entire downstairs bathroom, right?
Correct.
And
Turns into basically a slip and slide pool down there. It's a lot of fun.
And then does he shave himself, or do you help, or you assist?
I assist just on the back area.
The back
What about
side?
But that's only like once a month.
What about the man groomer?
I've never tried it.
Oh,
got a
Mark's a big promoter of
No,
these.
He's got a lady groomer. There is a man groomer
Patent.
thing that's
Yeah,
like a back
I
scratch.
bought
Yeah,
one for a
yeah.
friend
The selfie
for-
stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't shave you. Like it's not. They
just
they
a
make
clipper.
one that's a razor, but
Yeah.
that one I
That's
think you can
dangerous.
butcher
Slices
yourself
up.
with.
Yeah.
I have one that's like clippers.
Was that
Yeah,
what happened
yeah.
to Dan yesterday?
Daniel?
Probably.
I wasn't going to mention his name, but he did tell me he might have duct taped his razor to his GoPro selfie.
Shut the fuck up. No, he did not.
He may or may
It
not have
looked
told
like
me that.
he got attacked by a
I
gorilla.
don't know what he was doing, taking his shirt off yesterday.
He was very proud of it. He's like, it's not that bad, huh? Should I post it? I said, you can post what you want, but
He never takes his shirt off. We get a pro bodybuilder in the gym,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden he's
Yeah.
Doing
I'll
pose
peek out-
down.
peek out
giving
there.
you diet advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of that diet advice was dead on, though. I thought it was good.
Coors Light while you're drinking pizza post
I
workout.
think he's just saying you got to settle down a little bit to
Yeah.
grow. I think that's what he's trying to say.
That was the message he was
I'm
trying to
That's
get
the
across.
main message: overtraining.
Everybody says I train too hard, especially going into shows.
See,
I
and
need to
he
back things off.
and he
so
spotted
he's
that
got
without
it.
even knowing it at all.
he probably gave you arm training advice as well.
Yeah.
Well,
Those
Brad quickly
forearms.
pointed out how he has a forearm, a bicep, and a forearm. It's all one thing. It's all
Farm.
the same tube.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tube. Yeah, we
call
that
that-
a tube of cookie dough.
Yeah.
oh my God.
Or the breakfast biscuit. Yeah. That's
Now,
hot.
is he able to bench anything?
Ladies, he's single. It's Fat Daniel.
Well, now that you've seen as much as anybody would ever want to see of Dan, like if you were gonna give him advice, honestly, like
Let's
what
give
would
him
you
an
tell
arm
him?
routine. Let's give him an arm routine.
What would you tell him? Would you tell him you're too fucked and
Find the highest building. And
Buddy, you're too
leap of faith.
you're too chubby. There's nothing we can do for you.
Oh shit.
you're maximum skinny fat?
Stick to powerlifting. Best bet. Get a tan, some Melanotan.
Well, there you go. That'll always make you look better.
Yeah.
Can't
couple
tone it,
stomach
tan
bugs.
it.
A couple stomach bugs. Get malaria.
See if you can acquire a tapeworm.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure they'll give you one of those in Mexico.
Bodybuilding can have a tremendous impact on your health. From a standpoint of if you were to take somebody like Dan or somebody who's just average gym goer who could lose 20, 30 pounds, doing some bodybuilding style training, where the rest intervals are a little shorter, and you're trying to get through large amounts of work, and you're trying to build muscle, and then on top of that, you're following through with your diet, and all your efforts in your diet are to go towards gaining muscle mass and towards not gaining any body fat.
Yeah.
It can have a tremendous impact on your health in terms of, lowering your cholesterol and
Blood pressure,
lowering,
things like
lowering
that,
your
yeah.
blood pressure and all these great things. But as you get deeper into
There's
bodybuilding, there's some extremes to it, right? So, like when you guys go to a show, and I guess my point earlier about like the different styles of diets, you can do it a bunch of different ways. Right. But when it comes down the stretch, you're just pretty much fucked, aren't you? Like
Yeah.
you're pretty
Yeah,
much
you're-
kind of screwed. You're running on fumes at the end.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some different ways that different people do it, but in the very end of the stretch there, the last few weeks, I'm sure you're pretty much just screwed, right?
Well, yeah, and I mean, like we talked about genetics. There are some people who could, maintain their mass and lose fat efficiently with not having to do like high intensity type of cardio.
Right.
Matt and I are still trying to learn how my body's working. So, I mean, I'm getting the beginning stages of plantar fasciitis on my right foot. My left Achilles is killing me. My left.
Give her
I
a
know,
goddamn foot
Jesus.
massage.
You ever
So-
seen those Flintstone feet?
No, I never
I
have.
know they're
They're
little
scary.
blocks. It's really sad. That's why I'm getting
Short and
plantar
stubby.
fasciitis because I have no arch
Fat
on my
little
foot.
feet.
They're cute. So yeah, I mean, I'm fucking hurting, and I'm still sprinting my 45-minute sprints and going back at night and doing my other 45 minutes of sprinting. But that's what needs to get done. Last season there was a drive where we were driving to Gold's Gym, and I legitimately started crying in the car. But it was like a sad sobbing because I knew I was gonna have to run another 6, 7, 8 miles, and my body was hurting.
Yeah.
But that's what you need to do to lean out. And so sometimes, I get comments on Instagram, what's your cardio routine like? And I'm like, look, this is not normal,
Right.
people. Like, I'm not going to, my cardio routine is sometimes 2 hours a day. That's not normal for a person to do that much cardio if you're not getting ready for a show.
It's not realistic either for someone to really pour that much attention to it, right?
Right.
Like you said, you get so lean, you put so much stress in your body that your organs and things like that start to take a beating. Your protein.
While you're
counts are
pooping, we're talking about health.
your protein and everything's so high. You're stressing your kidneys. your liver's into overdrive.
Right.
Your fat levels are so low that your lipid profile gets
Mike
thrown
drinks
off.
a lot and does tons of D-ball, so his liver is shot.
Done.
That's why I look this way.
So everybody looks at a competitor who steps on stage and think, oh my god, that's the epitome of health. No, we're probably extremely unhealthy.
Yeah.
Like you said, if you're just a person, an avid fitness enthusiast who eats properly and trains and kind of maintains a body, for a male probably 7 to 10% body fat, a female somewhere between 10 to 13% body fat, that's still great shape, and that's healthy.
Right.
But as a male competitor, we're dipping into the 3% body fat area. That's just
you're a big fan of the athletic side of things, the performance side of things. What do you think about those lower levels of body fat? Mike and I have kind of talked about it a bunch before, and you kind of see like champions in a bunch of different fields sort of fall into different categories in terms of how lean they are. Obviously, some sports you can be leaner than others, but for the most part, you're not really seeing hardly anybody win much of anything being like 5% body fat.
Yeah, even like Bones Jones,
Yeah.
maybe 12.
he's 15.
Jerry Rice, maybe 10, maybe, but that's still not that crazy.
Right.
Like,
I mean, you need a certain amount of body fat to give you energy stores, especially endurance type stuff.
Yeah.
I think the leaner people you see are like sprinters and things like that are just short burst energy.
Right.
Where you have a football player or fighter that needs that endurance to go through. Fat levels, your sheathing of your neurons and things are covered in fat. When you start getting that low, you actually reduce that sheathing, and you get a less response to your muscles and things like that. So
maybe having like such low cortisol and estrogen levels and stuff like that might be just kind of dangerous to your body. Shit might start to get kind of brittle, right?
Yeah, your joints are brittle. You don't have the reaction time. Your mind's not working properly. So, if you're looking at like an elite athlete standpoint, it's not beneficial at all. You see fighters that have to drop down and make weight, and they get super shredded. Then they're trying to fill up in a day, and they're so depleted, and they usually get their asses kicked. Because they just don't have the energy and the endurance to sustain to fight.
It's a very precise thing that they got to do, right?
Yeah.
You played when you played football. What position did you play?
I was a halfback.
Oh, cool. What was your best 40?
God, I think it was like a 4.51.
Nice. Flying for a white guy.
Moving.
Pretty fly for a white guy.
I had a good vertical. That was my biggest thing. I was good laterally, side to side, change of direction, burst of speed. I was dunking like freshman year in high school. And
Damn.
Yeah, I think my best vertical was about 42 inches.
Holy shit.
This winter I got back to, I lost some weight and was just kind of enjoying off season and was out playing basketball, and I dunked again for the first time in a while, but I'm not going to try that at 260 right now.
It's terrifying when he gets that
She
bug.
watched-
Like, I'm going to be an athlete again.
Yeah.
I'm like, please don't
It's
fucking
just,
try to run outside. Like, your body is just not made for that now.
Like I love just jumping around and running and like doing box jumps and lateral movement type stuff, and it's hard because my muscle just isn't functional muscle for the most part, and I want to start incorporating that.
Oh, it's functional in the gym, but it's just
Right.
It's not
But
prepared.
not in life. Not when you're trying to roll out of bed.
Yeah,
Just
I
see that
can't
little
roll
action.
out of bed. The
tuck and roll.
The day before I came here, I went to a Smart and Final to grab some last minute things, and the store got robbed, and these guys ran out with like 10 bottles of Hennessy, and I'm like, me 5 years ago, I would have chased after them, just like, nah. Like, I'm gonna pull a hamstring before I go up to fly out the mark. I'm like, sorry. They're all looking at me like, what the fuck, asshole? You're this big dude. You can chase these guys down and beat them up. I'm like,
No.
sorry.
Somebody else's problem.
Yeah. I'll give you the $60 to pay for the Hennessy.
Yeah.
I can call 911 really fast.
Yeah.
Like, they look really quick.
Yeah.
I got no shot.
You have some desires to kind of get some of that athleticism back, maybe after bodybuilding's over?
I do. Off seasons, so every year I should take a break, about 3 to 4 months. I kind of back off my training, kind of try to enjoy life a little bit, let my body really recover, and that's when I kind of get back into the athletic thing. And then all of a sudden, boom, it's into off season, and I'm packing on weight, and I'm getting up to like 260, 270, and it's hard to move around like that. And then all of a sudden you get into prep, and that's the time you want to be the most cautious. You don't want to pull anything. So it's like I really want to find time and start doing more functional training because, as we were talking last night, I want to be someone that can dunk a basketball, squat 700 pounds, pull 700 or 800 pounds, and step on stage and be competitive.
I've seen you squat 6 plates for reps pretty easily. Like, what's your best squat?
I've never tried to max.
Oh, okay.
I was, in college, it was always one of those things. I'd wait for everybody on the team to go, figure out who squatted the best, and I'd say throw on 50 pounds and do it. You know?
Kick their ass.
Yeah, just same thing with bench and stuff. I've always been a rep guy. We were talking, like, one of the first things I did was one of those RX Muscles Bros versus Pros challenges, and it was 405 for reps. And I remember walking in and seeing some powerlifters that I knew that were, squatting 800, 900 pounds. And I'm like, I'm going to get my fucking ass kicked here.
They do it for 30 reps.
No, they get it for 10, and they can't breathe. You know? And then, so I got like 26 or 27 or something like that. Jose Raymond won with 30. Juan Morel was like 27 or 28 or something like that. But all these big powerlifters that are way stronger than us are just dead, done.
Well,
done.
you said that you do like your power movements after you do a lot of the other movements. Why do you do it that way?
Just the program that my coach has me on right now. Like I said, I stopped deadlifting and squatting after college. My legs have always been big, so I never really needed to push the leg department. And I've always had thick obliques, so I stopped deadlifting because, I personally think that as you increase inter-abdominal pressure and you put pressure on your core grows. It's a muscle. Right. So you can thicken up your obliques that way. So I've really backed off any type of heavy movements like that. And I wear a squeam. I wear a belt. I do the whole nines to get my waist down. And then this year I hired a new coach, and he's like, your back sucks. You need to deadlift. I'm like, fuck it, let's do it.
Cool.
So in his program, you go through 90 minutes of training and then deadlift.
Lat stuff?
Yeah. Like I was telling him yesterday, one of the programs is banded dumbbell pullovers, 3 working sets of that, and then you get into a bent over row, three real working sets of that, and then you get into a T-bar row off the floor, and that's 2 double drop sets, and then 1 pull down movement, and then I go deadlift. Dang. So like my back's completely smoked, and I'm deadlifting, so I've been able to increase my poundage on deadlifts. Even
first couple times you went through that workout, was it like really fucking hard to get moving on deadlifts?
Yeah, it really was.
Like even just doing like a plate and 2 plates, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, my lower back was just so smoked, so pumped. Yeah. But it's fun, it's really challenging. I think that kind of sees what kind of man you are.
There's something like about fatigue that can make you really fucking strong. And it can really help a ton with like conditioning and just being being leaner.
Right.
You look at what the CrossFit athletes are doing. I think some of their workouts are so weird and far fetched and go so far against typical training protocols that you're now kind of seeing the results of that. And the results of that are these people are ending up being built really well, and they're ended up gaining strength over a long period of time on many different lifts in the gym.
Right.
It's not just their deadlift or just their squat. It's their front squat, their back squat, their overhead press, their cleans, their snatches. They're getting stronger and they're getting fitter, like all over the place. So it's pretty neat to see. I almost wonder, like, if a power lifter tried to, do some of that, what kind of results. I mean, efforting is kind of our only guy that we've had that has had that much experience in bodybuilding. But when he came to us from Flex Wheeler, doing 10 sets of 10 in the morning and 10 sets of 10 at night, it was so easy to shift him into being stronger because his conditioning was through the fucking roof. Right. He could recover from the sets and stuff much faster than everybody else, and he could put more work in to each and every set, each and every rep that he did.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be interesting if you worked into phases like that where, you do higher frequency, higher volume training.
I'd love to try it, but it seems so painful.
He didn't also
Step outside the box.
He also didn't do a whole lot of assistance work during that time, too. He did his main movements, and then he just got the fuck out. He's like, I got to eat.
Yeah, when he started powerlifting.
Yeah.
What's your guys' frequency like? And does it change off season, on season in terms of lifts or body parts?
I don't think they can share that.
Is that top secret? Yeah. We won't go into more detail than that.
Like Dan said.
Well, I'm in the gym. I'm usually do a 4-day on, 1 day off, and it just kind of rotates. With Mondays are usual. My day 1 would be.
That's so confusing to us.
Quads.
We have like a day that's like a specific thing.
Do you have 10-day weeks or something that we don't have?
Pretty much, yeah. So
I know a lot of bodybuilders do it. That
fucks
with my head. Like on a Saturday, you might be like bench pressing or something. It messes up with my brain.
So Monday is never like chest day. It's always just in rotation. So day 1 would be quads and calves. Day 2 would be back and buys. Day 3 is shoulders and a little bit of chest. And then day 4 is glutes and hammies, which we're doing today, boys.
So I'm ready.
The glute day.
We're doing kickbacks, guys.
Yeah.
Kickbacks.
Do you have a glute day, Brad?
Yes, I do.
He doesn't need one.
I have ridiculous glutes. But
Momo booty.
like you
You showed me yesterday. I was on camera.
Oh, we
I
know.
whipped it out.
We're aware.
I was on you guys' realm where I would change chest on Sunday just because everybody does chest on Monday. It'd be
Right.
like chest,
Yeah, you
back,
didn't want
leg,
all the
shoulders,
benches being hogged up.
Yeah.
So I knew days of the week by body part I was training.
Right.
And then we're both working with the same coach now, a new guy, and same thing. It's 4 days on.
Muscle confusion, baby.
Yeah. It's 4 days on, 1 day off, and I'm like, and I'm showing up to go train clients on back day at 3:00. And it's not Wednesday, and I'm like, "Fuck!" It's my whole life revolved
Right.
away part I was training.
Yeah.
So,
But that's just a way
Half
to
the
get.
time, we don't know what fucking day it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
We're so confused.
So it's-
I know that you've been training for a long time, Brad, but Stephanie, do you get like specific numbers sent to you sometimes, like in terms of the different lifts that you're going to do for the day, like even just
Percentages.
Yeah, percentages and stuff like that, or is it kind of you're just going by how you feel and the reps kind of dictate the weight?
No, actually, Matt has a whole training protocol. It's about 20 pages long.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in-depth.
It's really in depth. It's how many sets, how many working sets, how many warm up sets, the explosive movements, how long he wants you to actually stay contracted. So it's very in detail. So I do have.
He must be pretty nerdy.
Spreadsheets and spreadsheets.
Yeah,
and
pretty
tablets.
much. Pretty much. But so yeah, I do have like certain lifts and numbers that I need to meet. As far as weight goes, he gives me like a range. Stay between this range. So sometimes for quads, he has me supersetting the leg press and squatting. So I'm jumping straight from doing 30 leg presses to doing as many squats at 135.
Oh shit.
And I'm just going back and forth. And it's just a superset.
Mike, what do we usually superset? Superset our deadlifts with what?
With tacos?
Normally it's Instagram.
Selfies?
Yeah, I don't think we're not as productive as these
All right,
guys.
so today we'll be good. Today
we got to straighten ourselves out over here, man.
Yeah.
Fuck.
One thing, Matt.
We're going to go from sumo squats to walking lunges today.
I know.
So Matt, for the first time ever, had to keep a log, a training log. 'Cause he's like, I know as a bodybuilder, numbers are important, but if you're getting stronger, you're getting bigger.
Yeah.
So for the first time, I have to log each week what my weights are. And he wants you to beat it each week, even if it's just putting a 2-pound plate on.
An
each
extra
side.
rep, right?
Right. Or an extra rep, or 2 more pounds here and there. So this is the first time I've ever done that, and I've seen a pretty good progression in my strength this year.
You mentioned me, if somebody's working out and they're doing some bodybuilding type stuff, and the rep range is 8 to 10, and they're going through it, and they get to 7, and it's obvious that they
Easy.
can do much more, than the 8 to 10 prescribed.
Yeah.
What do you kind of recommend there? That they A, go up in weight, or B, do more reps, or a little bit of both?
Yeah, I mean it's one or the other. If like you said, that's the good thing about keeping a log is on each particular exercise what your max weight was that week at that particular rep range. So you're always trying to improve upon there. But like I said, it's nothing more than frustrating when you're working with someone, you're working with clients. You're like, all right, we want 8 to 10 reps here, and I can't get inside their head to figure out exactly how much weight they should be pushing.
Right.
So it's something you need to figure out yourself. And
They
all
might
of a
be
sudden
making weird faces on
Yeah,
purpose. So
right.
there's
And
more
all of a sudden you
reps.
get to that range, and they're just like, they stop. And I'm like, what'd you stop for? You said 8 to 10. I'm like, I gave you a range, and I want you to fatigue at that range. And bodybuilding, it's all about fatigue. I don't care if you do 30 reps or 3 reps. We want to cause fatigue and muscle damage. So it's like,
That's why he hates training with me sometimes.
yeah,
Because
she's
I
stoic.
internalize everything. So
Stoic the whole
sometimes-
time, and then just stops. I'm like,
No,
I
that was
could've-
literally
I
like,
could've
or
assisted
or
you.
I'm stoic and I'm shaking. Oh, I'm good. That was my last one.
You know,
Like, what the fuck?
It's
all I got.
it's all about pushing boundaries.
Right.
Either get more reps or the next set add more weight. Don't just be complacent in a program and just say, oh, I did 8 to 10 here. That was it. I
Right.
got through it.
How long have you been doing training for like figure and stuff?
Well, my journey started, actually, I was overweight about 6 years ago when I was living that good life in Vegas. And when I say overweight, I'm 5'3", and I was weighing probably around 165, but my body fat percentage was probably at like 24. So I was a little thick girl. And I was going to go do laundry one day, and I came across, I was like, I need something to read while I'm sitting in the laundromat. So I got a Muscle and Fitness Hers, and Amanda Latona was on the cover. I was like, she looks bad. Like, I need to look like this girl, right? So coincidentally, inside the magazine, there was a cookie cutter 12-week challenge that it was Nicole Wilkins and Kim Odo were running it. And after the 12 weeks, you resend your pictures in, and the winner got to be on the front cover with Nicole Wilkins.
Were you already like lifting or exercising at the time?
Not really lifting. I was literally on the elliptical machine.
Do you have any sports background or anything?
Yeah, in high school, I played soccer and softball, and I ran cross country. But so I was in okay shape in high school, and the minute I went to college, it like all went to shit. And so I did the 12-week challenge, and I lost around 30 pounds. So I was kind of like, okay, and this was it was the same diet for 12 weeks. I was eating the same thing for 12 weeks. And it was, cookie cutter workout program where it was like, do 12 to 15 reps of shoulder press, blah, blah, blah. So, and because I was going to the gym more often, I made friends there. And there was a girl there that was a figure competitor, and she invited me to her show. She goes, you should come out, take a look at it. And once these girls walked on stage, I was like, yes, I want to look like that. So that's when it really started for me. Like I started weightlifting then. So that was about 5.5 years ago. And then when I moved back home to LA and I joined Gold's Gym, that's when I really started contemplating it. So I would say 4 years now that I've been training for, actually competing in figure.
Yeah. Just from an outsider, again, I noticed like bikini figure, more ladies, obviously in our world, but I think in your world too, are doing more like barbell movements. Have you noticed stuff like that? Like squats, deads, bench, and like not too worried about looking like Brad, but like looking like a chick?
Yeah, I honestly, because of Instagram, yes.
Yeah. And you think that's negative, positive?
It has its goods and its bads. The girls think that just squatting is going to get them glutes.
Right.
And, I mean, yeah, it'll help.
Yeah, depending on genetics maybe, or who knows what.
Right. And there's the 30-day butt challenge.
Everyone has such different form when they squat. Some people use almost all lower back when they squat.
Or just quad. Or,
Yeah.
Well, I'm very quad dominant, so that's why I have to separate my days.
You could have
so
10
I can
people
just
squat like all the, very, very frequently, and they're going to all look different.
And unless you squatted forever, you're really honed in. Like I could squat purposely and get my quads going, or I could squat purposely to lift the most weight, but a lot of people can't.
Right. The only way I can feel a difference, honestly, in my squats is if I'm sumo squatting. Then I know I'm engaging my glutes. But if I'm, shoulder width apart, at that point, quads take over for me. So I have to split up my days. So yeah.
But you train some of those barbell movements. You were deadlifting yesterday. You bench?
No, actually,
bench.
I stopped benching after I got my breast augmentation.
Okay.
Which was horrible because I loved benching
Yeah.
and I felt like I was pretty strong. And then I got my augmentation done and I decided to go under the muscle for a couple of reasons. It looks a little more natural, and the breast cancer actually runs in my family, and so the doctor suggested going under the muscle because I have to get mammograms done pretty often, and so it's very hard to detect anything if you go over the muscle. So I wanted to go 450 cc's, and once he got in there, he was only able to put 325s because my pec muscle was about 1.5 inches thick. So when I went in there for my checkup, I was like, I'm really disappointed. Like I kind of was hoping for this 450s.
Bigger tits.
What's going on? I paid for 450s, motherfucker. So he was like, yeah, when we got in there, it took me, my assistant, and a retractor to pull your pec muscle up to even put these three. Yeah. Ooh. I'm like, I didn't need that visual.
Yeah.
But honestly, people who are contemplating getting, a breast augmentation done, I love them, but I also hate them. Like there's days where I'm like, God, I just want to bench, especially if you're in the fitness industry.
Does it hurt to bench or?
Sometimes. Sometimes it does.
We've heard that a little bit, and we have something that might fix it.
Right. Well, no, I was telling Mark, it actually feeling that compression with the slingshot has definitely helped. But I'm starting to get like.
Could probably do that too.
Well, should duct tape them down. Where's that marshmallow duct tape, guys? But yeah, so I mean, it has its good and it's bad.
But you don't need to bench for your goals.
Not
right
really.
now.
No. If I decide to go into women's physique later on down the road, then I'm gonna have to do some incline work and work on my pecs. But other than that,
with all this eating for bodybuilding and all this hard training and stuff, there's got to be some poop stories.
He already
coming out of the road.
He said his whole career started on the shitter with
coming
the vacuum.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good story.
Pretty good. Any blown out buttholes or anything like that?
When I first found out my wife was the keeper, I have a family history of
it's a true love story, by the way. We're about to hear, I think,
colon issues and polyps and hemorrhoids and things like that. So we were about 2.5, maybe 3 months into dating, and I had to have a pretty severe hemorrhoid surgery done. And, I had all this gauze that needed to be unpacked, repacked. She was helping me out with that. And I had some stitches that were coming out.
Oh, yeah.
And I was really constipated because I didn't take enough like Metamucil because I was on the pain pills. And honestly, I've had a few surgeries, and that was.
I have never seen a grown man, cry like that. Like
you're trying to take a shit.
I can't even imagine.
You're trying to take a
Stitched
shit
up
and you
back
got
there.
stitches in your asshole. That is the worst fucking pain in the world. So anyway, I had to.
So I'm back there.
I had to shit really bad, and I had to get the gauze out, and I had a stitch that was coming out that she had to cut out.
It was the gauze was attached to the stitch.
Oh, the gauze was attached to the
stitch.
stitch.
I was trying to untangle. So he's bent over on the counter in the bathroom, right? And I'm behind him, and I'm trying to undo the gauze, and his leg is shaking, and he's sweating, and I'm like, oh my god! I'm trying to hurry, just hold on, and he just lets one rip right in my face, and I'm like. Okay, all right. Thankfully, I'm totally into that shit.
And
it worked out well.
Needless to say, you gave him a reach around right there, and bada bing, bada boom.
She gave it up a little after, and I was like, I just farted in this girl's face, and she gave me a piece of ass. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking marry this girl. I'm like, she is a keeper.
Yeah, that's when you think to yourself, you're like, I'm pretty disgusting, but what does that say about her?
Right.
Yeah. Maybe it's a fetish. I don't know.
Wow.
That's a great butthole story.
And the other thing, I've had GI issues my whole life, and I've been extremely gassy. Like even like high school, college.
Awesome. Yeah, you and Mark are about to be best friends.
I would just sit.
Little hearts are going over his head.
I would just sit and study in the library in the bathroom because I was so gassy at some points. I just felt bad being in there. So I would just sit there with the books on the shitter, just letting it rip. Studying for 6-7 hours at a time.
That's amazing.
So one of my clients,
my hero.
One of my clients, specializes in supplementation and helping people with certain issues and reducing inflammation and healing tissue. And he's had me on this protocol for a couple months. And then working with Matt Jensen, he's kind of changed some foods around for me. And you can ask her, I've had like no gas. And it's crazy because
does that upset you?
My gas, like my whole house, my car, everything just, you got it and you're like, what the fuck?
Literally, there was a smell to him.
Yeah. And
I don't know
she
why
stuck
the
around and I was
We
like,
should have started with all this.
I was like, I will never find another woman to fucking deal with this shit. I'm like,
Talk about smelly.
Literally.
yeah. So
Brad Smelly Rowe.
yeah. So she stuck with me through thin and
It's kind
shit.
of a green fog everywhere you go. You're not sure why.
It's not the Hulk, but
You're like, man, it smells like shit in here too. This is so weird. Everywhere I go, it smells like
This
shit.
hotel room, we need a refund. It smells like shit.
Yeah.
We literally joke because I can't smell anything now, and I think it was just my body adapting to the fact that I've had to live under these conditions. So I can't smell a lot
like
of
a
things.
superpower.
The last thing that I was able to actually smell was our house almost burning down because our house is turning 100 years old, and it got pretty cold this winter, and so we put on the heater for the dogs and it wasn't working, and it's one of these floor heaters, and we turned it on and shit wasn't working. We're like, God damn it. Okay, so we have this standing fan and we just kind of slid it back onto the heater. So the heater actually, I guess, took a while the pilot to turn on and everything to start working. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, what the fuck? And I opened the bedroom door and the whole house was smoked out.
Oh my God.
And I run
That's
downstairs
scary.
and basically the whole bottom of our fan was melted onto the heater.
Oh.
So all the plastic, we had to air out. I ripped my
Open
new
all
one
the
on that
doors,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
the dogs are just laying on their bed like
and they're basically
like
right
fucking
next to
assholes,
it.
just
Like,
bark something.
You're gonna let us die in this
breathe.
house? Like, you have a doggy door. We're
Yeah,
screwed
yeah.
upstairs.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the last thing I could smell is
yeah.
smoke. And so,
So between
in a
plastic
sense-
and my ass,
Yes.
burnt her senses out.
So do you have a diagnosis for your gut issues, or is it irritable bowel, or is it
clinical IBS.
Okay.
Luckily it's not Crohn's or anything like that.
Yeah.
But as a kid, I was in 3rd grade and I had to get my first colonoscopy. So I've been dealing with that my whole life, and I go through bouts of diarrhea and constipation. And, it's fun.
Damn.
Fun.
I can't wait till we get older. Those adult diapers are
Yeah.
gonna
I'm
be
gonna
fun
die.
to change.
I told her I'll die by 60, so don't worry about it.
Growing old together.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. I love it.
Without getting into it, I will say that if you're anywhere that has one of those D-box cinemas, the ones where the seats move and stuff, don't.
Okay.
Just considering, trust me, hand to God, don't. Just don't.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
You're gonna have to get some industrial strength toilets or something put in your 100-year-old house.
Yeah, one with a bidet, so I don't have to wipe my ass.
All those dumps you're taking. Jesus. What do you guys have coming up next?
Well, I'm competing in 2.5 weeks in
There we
Chicago,
go.
so I got that going on.
Chicago Fit Expo or something?
No, that's actually the weekend after that. I might be attending that with ProSteps. I just signed with them, so I'm assisting them in some marketing stuff and as an athlete. So that's pretty fun. I've always loved that company. I used to work for Europa Sports, and that was one of the brands that I always looked up to, just because they have their core group of people that when I used to work for Europa 4 years ago, those same people still work for that company, and that means a lot.
It's pretty rare in this anywhere, but
Yeah.
and in this industry.
Yeah, so if you still have the same core group of people around you 4 years later in this industry, that means, they're doing something right. So when they offered me the position, I'm like, yeah, yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Actually, they offered me a position to move to Dallas, and I'm like, oh, come on, let's
Too
go to
damn hot for me.
Dallas. And he's like, no. So I might be there. But yeah, no, that's it's the weekend before the Fit Expo.
And when I get back home tomorrow, I'm going to see how bad you fucked me up, taking me out to dinner. And, I'm going to see if I can be ready for a show in 10 weeks up here in Sacramento, actually, the Golden State Pro. That was what I kind of decided to do, but I've been through some shit these past
Was that
couple
like
weeks.
August or something, right?
August 13th. So
It'll be 1,000,000 degrees.
yeah. And
It
then
already is.
if not 2 weeks later, maybe the Hong Kong Arnold.
Cool.
Oh.
So
That'd be cool.
there. Yeah.
Man, they're putting Arnold everywhere, huh?
Yeah.
6 continents.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Damn.
Franchise.
We're going to Hong Kong.
Where can people reach you guys? Training advice, whatever the hell else they want.
Pooping advice.
Yeah, Instagrams, whatever.
My Instagram is Steph Rowe Fit.
Brad B. Rowe. And if you want to email me, contest prep inquiries, brad@bradrowfit.com. You can buy our clothing at frontrowathletics.com.
Awesome.
Find us on Facebook, YouTube, whatever.
Yeah, we're starting to kind of upload more stuff onto
Videos.
YouTube.
Coming to the
YouTube.
tubes, huh?
Finally coming to the
well,
tube.
It's the vlogging that I don't want to be that asshole that's like at the grocery store, like with her phone.
like that asshole?
Yeah, like this guy.
Who cares?
I just can't be that person.
You could put it in your fanny pack.
This is true. Which I do have a fanny pack. I might start,
Yeah, why not?
even though this guy hates the fanny pack. So
You packed his butt. I think you could wear a
I
fanny
think
pack.
he can.
Yeah, I think you have the right to do whatever you want for a while, anyway.
So
All right, well, it was awesome having you guys up here, and it's going to be fun working out with you guys today. Working out with you yesterday was cool. Hitting
Pecs
some
and glutes.
deadlifts. Yeah, today we got some pecs and glutes, and I look forward to anytime I've ever done any sort of bodybuilding workout. I learned a ton because I know nothing about it, so it's kind of great to let someone else take over and put you through the ringer. Anytime Mike and I have done any sort of bodybuilding workout, we've gotten just crushed. So it's pretty neat. It's people throw around the term bodybuilding all the time. They just say it. You just hear people say, "Oh yeah, I used to be more into bodybuilding," and you look at them, and you're like, "You don't never looked like a bodybuilder." Obviously, there's a huge difference between a pro and someone who does it like recreationally. But even the people that do it recreationally, I think they throw around the term
It's kind of like
too much because they're not serious enough about it. You
So
know?
it's like powerlifting. Like, are you really a powerlifter? You don't
Or do you
step
just
on the
bench
platform.
squat? Yeah.
You're
Right.
just train that way a
And
little bit.
do you approach the gym as just I'm going to train, or do you approach the gym as okay, I need to work on this, I need to change this?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what bodybuilding is. It's like being a sculptor, changing
Yeah.
your physique by the exercises. And how
I
you
think the
approach it.
definition would also just leak over into your daily life. You can't just go in the gym and do 3 sets of 10 and say that you do bodybuilding.
Right.
It
And then
can't
pizza.
stop. Yeah, it can't stop when you're done with the training session. It has to continue onward through the rest of your life. Unfortunately, but that's
Right.
just the way it is. Powerlifting is the same way. Olympic lifting is the same way. For many CrossFitters, it's the same way.
Yeah.
If you're going to be real at the sport, then you're going to have to think about it a lot and
If not, you're just a meathead.
put a lot of effort into it. All right, that's it from us. Multiply your hustle, multiply your muscle. May all your shits be tapered. I'm at Mark Smellybell on Instagram and Twitter. Later.
That's Solid Mike with 2Ks, Instagram and Twitter.
I'm Jim McD, STTV, everywhere that I would want you to find me. Follow the show on Instagram at Mark Bell's PowerCast.
You got it. Out angling everybody.
bikini.
Our thanks to HowMuchYouBench.net, ThePowerMagazine.com, 8manstrong.com, CavemanCoffeeCo.com, and Bodybuilding.com. Mark Bell's PowerCast is a production of SuperTraining.tv.